Pardon? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Mankato, where our worship is entirely real and vital, life-giving and life-sustaining in all times, including these times. Everyone here today, in person and through Zoom, you are welcome in this time we make sacred together. All are loved, worthy, and needed. Here you can bring your whole self. Just a few announcements. There will be no service for Labor Day weekend. And following Saturday is the Pride event, Pride Fest, and we hope that you will all come and participate. It's a great experience. It's a great event. The parade is fun, and we will have an art station again, and hope that you will contribute to our art piece, and we'll have rocks to paint and glitter blessings and all of that fun. And then September 22nd, there is no service here. We will be at the Watipi celebrating and being honored for our support of brave Dave Hart. I got that wrong, didn't I? Dave Braveheart got my... We acknowledge that our fellowship meets on the traditional homelands of the Dakota peoples, in continuing to understand our shared history, accepting responsibility for reparations, and building relationships in the here and now. We want to go beyond land acknowledgement, and we seek to be good relatives. I love how long that sound lasts. If you are joining through Zoom, please type in the chat that a chalice is lit on your street and join in saying these words. We are a welcoming people of diverse beliefs who commit to nourish the spirit, broaden the mind, nurture the earth, and build community. May this flame we kindle remind us to strive today and every day to love beyond belief.
Thank you all for joining us here today. I'm excited to be able to speak with you again and for us to be able to worship together. In coming together, I want to start with the words of Reverend Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. So now I'm going to hopefully return to the anticipated message about participation is the key to harmony. Participation is the key to harmony is the fourth concept from 12-step recovery programs, historically the first of which was Alcoholics Anonymous, and after that became the Al-Anon family groups, and the 12 steps, traditions, and concepts have been adapted to create a number of mutual support fellowships. They are a wonderful resource for people who are hurting in a variety, many of ways. But I think that this principle fits very well also with UU values espoused in Article 2 and inform healthy congregational functioning. which, as your former board president, that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. So you may remember Article 2 and that wonderful acronym JETPIG or JPIGLET, where we have these 6 principles that are all coming from a place of love. And when we participate fully from a place of love, we work together to most effectively bring these UU values to life. An illustration of this concept can be found in a book, Reaching for Personal Freedom, published by Al-Anon Family Groups. When we participate within a group of people bound by a common goal, we may discover that we can be connected to others rather than isolated and alone. This participation is based on a spiritual foundation of mutual respect. Participation involves giving of ourselves and including others. When all those who should contribute do, there is less resistance, disagreement, and dissatisfaction. Harmony develops, and the result is a greater trust within our families and relationships. Participation gives us the courage to speak when appropriate, the maturity to be silent when needed, and the detachment to listen to other points of view without judgment. By the way, this is where I'm going to mention the music at the beginning was from a group called Winds of Harmony, which I found very fitting, but also has a special place in my heart as my stepmother and brother are members of that group. And so I think participation of the key as the key to harmony is a beautiful idea, and as mentioned, can inform these healthy relationships. But I'm going to talk more specifically today on how we put that into action by reflecting on Article 2. But I also want you all to participate in your own minds with this. So as I talk about each of these, I want you to call to mind your personal experiences of seeing these values in action through participation in the UU or other groups you might be a part of. I'm going to go through these values in the JETPIG order. And I have to admit, I borrowed from a children's curriculum for this because I found even after Reverend Diana's wonderful sermon on them, I still struggled a little bit in what each of these means. Justice means everyone deserves fairness, kindness, and respect. Participation reduces resentment because we can share and let go of the outcome, trusting the process of mutual participation. This is a form of respect for all. Plus, if I participate with kindness to all, I can feel good about my actions and the fact that I contributed, even if I don't like the outcome. Now, this is a hard one because oftentimes we get invested in particular outcomes, things we want to see, the way we want things to go. For example, in an order of service, wanting it to go smoothly. But I know if I operate from kindness and participate fully, I can feel good about that, even if words get jumbled, I announce the wrong hymn, etc. And I'm going to ask you all to take just a moment to reflect on how you've seen participation leading to justice, either in the UUFM or in your life outside of here. Equity. Equity means everyone gets what they need. With the concept of participation, minority opinions are heard and compromises are made for the best interests of the whole. All opinions have value. In this way, we can ensure everyone is getting what they need, balanced with the best interests of the whole. I really like this concept, and yet it also can be challenging to put into action. Minority opinions are those opinions that only a small portion of the group espouse, and yet sometimes those are the voice of wisdom. And sometimes the good is the enemy of the best, and so we need to listen and carefully consider them, even if they're not our opinions. And in this way, our own opinions might change, or we may continue to hold to our opinions, but the process of allowing everyone to have a voice fosters that harmony that we're looking for in our fellowship and other organizations. It also may be that there is opportunity for compromise. My favorite example of this is a story about two kids fighting over a bunch of lemons, and the parent comes in and says, "What is going on here?" And one kid says, "I need the lemons," and the other kid says, "I need the lemons." And the wise parent says, "What do you need the lemons for? What do you need the lemons for?" And the first child says, "I want to make lemonade. I need all the juice from all the lemons." And the other child says, "I want to make lemon cake. I need all the zest from all the lemons." With hearing these voices, the wise parent is able to make the compromise of zest the lemons, then give them to your sibling to juice. You both get what you need. So again, with voicing opinions, listening to opinions, we can ensure that we are balancing the rights of individuals and the group, leading to harmony. So I'm going to ask you to reflect on how you have seen participation fostering equity, again, in the UUFM or other places. Transformation. Transformation means growth, healing, and generativity. Participation is an opportunity for development and growth. It also allows for self-esteem to come from that evolution and knowing that we are part of the work that is being done. Transformation is a huge lifelong value of mine. Many of you know that I'm a psychologist, and I attribute a large part of my interest in that field to Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And the idea of Ebenezer Scrooge's transformation overnight because of the visit from the three spirits, and his former partner Marley as well. I love the idea and hold to it firmly that each of us can transform, that we can grow, we can heal, and we can be a force of generativity or creation. In fact, this is one of the key values of my life, so I was very excited to see this included in Article 2. Now, how we make that happen is challenging. I do believe that it comes from participation. So even though I am not a fan of being in front of people, I have decided to not let that stop me from things and was a professor for 13 years. I'm standing here in front of you today because I do believe I am called to continue my own personal evolution by getting outside of my comfort zone so that I can grow and be transformed. Thus, I participate even when it's outside of my comfort zone to allow that transformation. I'm going to ask each of you to think about ways that you have seen participation support transformation, whether in the UUFM or elsewhere in your life. Pluralism. Pluralism means there is no one right way. Participation requires finding our voices and using them to share our experience. Thus, we respect everyone's effort toward the common goal and learn from others' perspectives. I find that this very much incorporates the concept of equity as well here. This is a principle that I have tried to incorporate in my work as a professor, listening to feedback from students, as I've actually learned about how to teach from the very people I'm trying to teach. I incorporate it as a business owner in welcoming and soliciting feedback, because oftentimes the people who are doing the work know best how to most efficiently and effectively do it. I welcome that as board president, asking you all regularly for your feedback, because oftentimes your ideas were better than anything that I could come up with, as well as in the board seeking to reach consensus and pulling for perspectives from other people, because again, my experience and knowledge is limited, but the experience and knowledge of the whole is much greater. Now I'm going to ask how you have seen participation contribute to pluralism, again within the UUFM or outside. Interdependence. Interdependence means that everyone and everything is connected. In the spirit of participation, we work together to get things done so that we can keep what we love going. We can be the change that we want to see. We also build connection in this process. When asked to serve as board president, again, I was not thrilled about the idea, but I recognized we were at a pivotal place, and the UUFM is important to me, and I want to see it continue. I want to see it continue for me, so I have a fellowship that I can go to where I see other people who are striving to put these principles into action. I want the fellowship to continue because I have children who I want to see the best in humanity, which I often see represented here. I simply want there to be a place for people like us to come together and be that change in the world, to stand on the side of love. So I said, yes, I will help, even though I'm frankly, at the time was frankly scared about figuring out how to find a new minister and hadn't even been on the board before, let alone the board president. But it was important to me, and I knew I wasn't alone. I had former board presidents who are willing and have done a wonderful job of supporting me through that process. I had a board who also worked very hard to do all of the things that we've done, including finding a minister who then was part of that team as well, who has worked to make the UUFM not only continue to exist, but to grow, as is our goal. I'm going to ask then each of you how you have seen participation advance interdependence. Generosity. Generosity means giving. Through participation, we express gratitude for what we have received by being of service. And then we find that by giving, we receive. This is a paradox that I have found to be very true, that when I am grateful for something, that compels me to give. And yet when I give, I receive. And then when I receive, I feel grateful. And it creates a very positive cycle. And again, I try to put this into action. I appreciate the snacks after service. Sometimes it's, honestly, we have some really good snacks, and I do really like coffee. And so sometimes it's for the snacks and coffee themselves. But oftentimes it is simply for the opportunity for fellowship. And I am an introvert by nature, so sometimes I kind of hang back and still watch it. And it's great to see that energy of connection and community. And I'm grateful for that. And thus, I have in the past helped with hospitality. But I also keep coming back, even if I'm not going to really have the snacks, even if I'm feeling like I've got a low social battery for the day and I'm not in a spot to engage much, I'm still going to go to be a part of and look to see. Maybe there's somebody who looks like they also are alone and feeling awkward, and I can try to be a welcome presence for them. Or maybe there's going to be a spill I can clean up. And by those simple acts of service, I feel like I'm part of. I'm not alone in the universe. I am part of a community, which fills me up with that gratitude that leads to more generosity. For the final time, I will ask you to reflect how you have seen participation encourage generosity in the UUFM or elsewhere. In closing, about 1 year ago, I asked you all to reflect on now what during a difficult transition. Yes, I am a very big fan of reflection. So I'm going to ask you, do you remember what your now what was? We talked about acceptance and then acting on our values, and that we were in a transition that was hastened unexpectedly, and the response could be, okay, that's non-preferred but acceptable, now what? You may have put your now what into action over the past year, but things have changed since then. We have a full-time minister. We have more staff. We hired a choir director, and we have an accompanist who is part-time in addition to all of our wonderful staff who've continued, and Nancy's continued to volunteer and accompany us. We also have more hours for the staff with the specified purpose of helping to grow the congregation, more time for outreach and communications on behalf of our office associate and our children's faith director, Shelley Storm and Macy Forsyth, respectively. But what about congregational participation? Are each of you putting your now what into action? So while I said it was the final time to reflect on putting JetPig into action through participation, I am going to ask you to reflect one more time today, and in fact encourage you to do it regularly. How will you participate in the UUFM and in your wider life in a way to bring your values to life? That may mean clarifying what your values are. Maybe they are JetPig, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Or maybe there are other values or additional values. We know that living our values improves our mental health, and it often brings about changes in the world, like those ripples referred to in one of our readings today. And I do genuinely believe participation is the key to harmony, that as we each practice that, we find ourselves engaged with others and in our lives in a deep and real way that can bring about the good that we hope to see. So again, how will you participate in a way to bring your values to life in the UUFM and the wider world? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Love is the spirit of this fellowship. May our worship celebrate this love. May the lives we lead embody this spirit. May you all go in peace and participate.